Kyler Gordon just got placed on the physically unable to perform list, and the Bears front office isn't hiding how frustrated they are. Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson stood in front of reporters today and didn't sugarcoat a single word. This is the story every Bears fan needs to hear right now. Before we dive in, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this with a fellow Bears fan, because we've got a lot to break down today. Let's start with the headliner. Kyler Gordon spent the entire offseason training in Chicago, grinding to get right, and now he's starting training camp on the shelf with a calf injury. Ryan Poles addressed it directly, saying Gordon trained all offseason but hit a setback, and that everyone in the building, Gordon included, is frustrated by it. Poles didn't stop there. He made it clear that when Gordon does return, he's going to have to rebuild trust with the coaching staff, because constantly shuffling players in and out of the lineup makes it nearly impossible to keep everyone else in a good position to succeed. Here's the part that should worry you most. Poles called it a repetitive situation. That's a pointed way of saying this isn't a one-off. Gordon has been dealing with soft tissue injuries for roughly a year now, and they simply aren't healing the way they should. No firm timetable was given for his return. Ben Johnson was asked directly what his message to Gordon has been. His answer was blunt, just 2 words: get healthy. No elaboration needed. That's how serious this has become inside the building. So here's a question worth sitting with. If a player can't stay on the field, does it even matter how talented he is? Now let's address the elephant in the room, because social media is already calling for the Bears to cut ties with Gordon. That's not walking through that door anytime soon, and here's exactly why. Gordon signed a 3-year extension worth roughly $40 million that kicks in this season. His current salary cap number sits at $12.9 million. If Chicago released him right now, that number would actually jump to $22.5 million, a $9.5 million hit against the cap. And with the team currently sitting at just $8.1 million in available cap space, they're not just reluctant to make that move, they're financially incapable of it. A far more realistic outcome, if the injuries persist, would be a season-ending injured reserve designation rather than an outright release. Looking ahead to next year, cutting him becomes more manageable. His 2027 cap hit is projected at $13.3 million, and a pre-June 1st release would only bump that to $15 million, a difference of $1.7 million. A post-June 1st cut would actually save around $800,000. Compared to this season's brutal math, that's a much more digestible number, but it's still a 2027 conversation, not a right-now conversation. Bottom line, barring a surprise trade offer from another team, Kyler Gordon is on this roster for the 2026 season no matter what. The real question is whether he'll ever see the field. On a scale of 1 to 100, confidence in him getting healthy and staying healthy right now sits somewhere around 25. That's not 0, but it's not far off either. There's more roster news to get through. Montez Sweat has landed on the not football injury list, and Elijah Hicks has joined Gordon on the PUP list with a shin injury. The word on Sweat is that it's simply an illness, nothing structural, nothing serious. He could be sidelined for a few days, but padless practices this early in camp mean it's not a major concern. Hicks is a slightly different story. He's dealing with a shin issue, and while it doesn't sound severe, it does open a door. At safety, the presumed starters are Kobe Bryant and Dylan Thiemann, with Hicks expected to push for time. His absence to open camp could hand Thiemann extra first-team reps early, reps that might let him lock down that starting job before Hicks even gets back on the field. Now here's your question of the day, and I want to see this debate blow up in the comments. Who is the Bears' true WR1 heading into this season, Luther Burden III or Rome Odunze? Drop your pick below, because the coaching staff themselves seem to be leaning one direction, and it might surprise you. Let's shift to the offensive line, because Darnell Wright's contract situation is heating up. Chicago already exercised his fifth-year option, and after a second-team All-Pro season, an extension feels inevitable. But Ryan Poles gave an answer today that reads like a subtle message to Wright's camp. He said Wright is someone they want in Chicago long-term, but that it takes two sides to get a deal done, and that when it's time to play football, they'll play football regardless. On the numbers, earlier projections had Wright landing somewhere around $28 million per year. That figure is likely climbing. Comparable tackles have reset the market recently, and the ceiling right now belongs to Rashawn Slater at roughly $28.5 million annually. There's also a scenario where Wright's representatives are waiting on Arizona's Paris Johnson to sign his own extension first, and Johnson has publicly stated he's seeking something closer to $40 million per year, which would be a massive market reset that's unlikely to actually happen. The hope here is simple: get this done before Week 1 so it never becomes a distraction. Camp starts tomorrow, and if a deal doesn't come together in the next several weeks, it'll need to be set aside once the season begins. Finally, let's talk about the receiver getting all the buzz this summer, Luther Burden III. Ben Johnson has been raving about him since OTAs. Caleb Williams has praised him publicly. And now Ryan Poles has joined the chorus, saying Burden is the player he's most excited about, citing his growth since walking into the building and the fire he plays with. Reports say Burden spent the offseason personally reaching out to quarterbacks just to get extra throwing reps. It's a stark contrast to the pre-draft narrative that painted him as immature or lacking passion for the game, which is a big reason he slid to the second round in the first place. Since arriving in Chicago, by every account, he's done nothing but put in work. Ben Johnson doesn't hand out empty praise, and when he says he's buying stock in a player, that carries weight. Whether Burden or Oduns ultimately claims the WR1 role, one thing is clear: the belief inside the building in Burden's trajectory is real, and fans should be excited to watch that story unfold in year 2. That covers the biggest storylines from today's press conference. Practice kicks off tomorrow, and there's plenty more to unpack from Caleb Williams' comments as well, so stay tuned for that breakdown.